I got that zip for that loud, so I'm rolling up. All my niggas in the back and they pulling up. We ain't never missed a bag, so we poppin' tags. I'm heading straight to the cash, always moving fast. I got that zip for that loud, so I'm rolling up. All my niggas in the back and they pulling up. We ain't never missed a bag, so we poppin' tags. I'm heading straight to the cash, always moving fast. And baby, I ain't really tripping off you. Getting to this money, never missing moves. And baby, I ain't really tripping off you. Getting to this money, never missing moves. I ain't really tripping off these niggas, nah. My tunnel vision got me distance with persistence, huh? I ain't stressing, just finessing all these niggas, huh? With that Nina on my side. If you ain't down to ride, nigga, don't hit my line. This kitty one of a kind. These niggas say that I'm fine. I'm floating on cloud nine, stimulating my mind. Cause this money got me high, got me lit, got me on in this bitch in the zone with the shit. Hold up, it's for that loud, so I'm rolling up.
All right, welcome to the Eric J. the Great podcast show. We got a special guest on the show today, music artist Sharde Lee. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
We're doing all right. So for everybody out there that haven't heard any of her work, we're gonna start off by playing one of her songs, and then we'll get into her whole story. I had to pick this one because you smacked this the other day. Still fresh on my mind. I was like, dang, she just came in here like 10 minutes and left.
Yeah.
Hey, I seen the Kayla look. I'm about to get real nasty on this bitch. Hold on, look. Goddamn. Yeah. I pulled your nigga, I was only trying to fuck with me. He ate my pussy and he nut all on my butt. Fuck with me. Real nasty, but in public I'm stuck up. Fuck with me. Wet pussy got him sprung, you won't let up. Fuck with me. My phone ringing, this your nigga trying to fuck a boss. He like the way I chase her back, so baby take it loud. You put you on D&D, he heading to my house. You pull up in the driveway, I seen his man saloon. I got that wet, gushy for a nigga, man. He like to fuck me on the couch and eat me for his dinner. Yeah. Bend me over so my arch can make my ass nigga. I tell him shut up, eat this pussy till I'm coming, nigga. He grab my thigh, he pull me close, he all up in my spot. I'm about to come, he whisper, babe, you better fucking not. He pull it out and slap it on these pretty pussy lips. He slide it in, I think I'm sprung, I gotta get a grip. I pulled your nigga, I was only trying to fuck with me. He ate my pussy and he nut all on my butt. Fuck with me. Real nasty, but in public I'm stuck up. Fuck with me.
Turn me up every time.
Sprung, you won't let up. I pulled your nigga, I was only trying to fuck with me. He ate my pussy and he nut all on my butt. Fuck with me. Real nasty, but in public I'm stuck up. Fuck with me. Wet pussy got him sprung, you won't let up. Fuck with me.
Yeah, that's hard right there. I wish it was a little bit longer.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, I like you. You remind me of what you call it. One of my favorite artists was J.D. Youngin from Louisiana. When I first started listening to J.D. Youngin, I used to be so mad because like he used to put out mixtapes and then he'll put 10 songs on there and all of them be like a minute 50 seconds and you be jamming and the song go. I'll be like, dang, bro, like, I knew you could have made it longer than that, bro. Like, that'd be crazy.
I did it on purpose though because it's gonna make them want to continue to play it. They want more, so it's like, okay, put it on repeat.
Yeah, that's a good tactic right there.
Yeah.
So first off, tell the people where you're from and how old are you?
I am from Salinas, California, out in the West Coast. That's where I was born and raised. And I am actually 34.
Okay. And so when you think of your hometown, what's the first thing that come to your mind?
Mexican food.
Well, y'all have a lot of Hispanics out there.
Yes, it is definitely. It's a diverse town, but it's like predominantly Hispanic, and you're gonna get the best Hispanic food there.
Okay. So for anybody that ain't never been to your hometown, just kind of describe how it was there growing up as a kid, transitioning to a teenager, some of the circumstances and obstacles you had to overcome just growing up there.
Growing up in my town, there was a lot of violence. So like there was a lot of color banging. So you not only had like Crips and Bloods, you had norteños and sureños. So it's like you had to look out for each one. So it's like Bloods and Crips were beefing, and then Crips and norteños were beefing. So it's like cross. It was just like a lot of violence and stuff. So growing up in that, it's like you kind of had to always watch your back and be very observant of where you were. If you're walking down the street, what neighborhood you were in, especially your skin color, you know what I'm saying? So anybody could run up on you. I actually was walking with my ex one time, and we were walking to his house, and some guys ran up on us like, "What you banging? What's that you claim?" Da, da, da. And I'm like, I was like, "Oh shit, it's crazy." But yeah, so growing up in that, especially like transitioning once you got older, it kind of got, you had to kind of observe a little bit better and watch your surroundings when you're out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have a two-parent household, any siblings?
I had a two-parent household until I was about like 10 years old, and then my parents got divorced. Um, so I was with my mom majority of my life. She raised me. My dad he was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. He ended up moving back out here when I was in like middle school because his dad passed away. So I didn't see him from like middle school till my senior year. Um, so yeah, I didn't have a two-parent household, but my mom was very independent. She handled everything for real. Um, yeah, that's
Okay.
mainly it.
So what type of activities you was into when you was younger? Like did you play any sports or anything like that?
Yeah, I was a three-sport athlete in high school. In the fall, I was a cheerleader. In the winter, I played basketball, and then in spring, I ran track.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as your family and your inner circle, like your real close friends, did you have anybody around you growing up that was in the music business, or are you the first one to go down that route?
Um, I wouldn't say I had a lot of people around me. My family bloodline has just always been in music. My auntie actually was in a band, and they played overseas. Like they were actually like famous back in the day. So it was pretty dope. I don't remember the name of their band, but yeah, she traveled and did a lot of stuff like that and played overseas, and she still to this day has an agent that kind of takes care of all her things and stuff like that. And a lot of my family members, like my dad can sing like really good, and my uncle can sing too. And my uncle's from out here. I remember I used to come out here and visit every summer, and we would go to my uncle's house. My dad would be on the bass, my uncle would be on the drums, and my other uncle would be on the keyboard, and they would be off Red Bulls just jamming down there. So it's like music. I've always just been surrounded by music.
Okay, yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick a moment, what would you say led you to doing music?
Third grade, I entered my first talent show, and I lip sync with my friend Andy, Spice Girls, Spice
Mm,
Up Your Life. So like ever since then in the third grade, I was in music. I was in choir from seventh grade to my senior year, did choir things and things like that. And then after high school, I kind of transitioned into rap because I used to write poetry. So I was like, I want to try this out. And I've been rapping ever since.
okay. So as far as growing up, who did you like listening to? Who was your favorite artist you had in playlists?
Well, we didn't have playlists back then. We had Walkman. Uh,
Okay.
we barely had got an iPod. But I would say I kind of listened to a lot of different music. Of course, my parents were always playing Tupac and Biggie. I listened to them a lot. A lot of NWA. I heard them a lot. Invo, Cut Close, SWV, Genuine. A lot of the old school, like Queen Latifah, a lot of the old school Foxy Brown, Mia X, like a lot of the old school artists, I listened to them when I was growing up. So, um, No Limit. Hot Boys, like a lot of them. Like, so I feel that's why I can make like catchy hooks, because back then they always had those catchy hooks that were like you were hooked when you first heard it. So I feel like growing up in that era is what assisted me with being able to write a good hook the way I do.
Okay. So as far as your rap name, is that part of your real name, or where did that come from?
It's my middle name, and Lee is actually my last name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take me back to the time that you went to the recording studio for the first time. Take me through that whole process. Was it easy for you to catch on, or was it kind of like a rough patch at first?
It was easy to catch on, but when I first recorded myself, I was like, that's what I sound like. My voice is annoying. Like I was like I was like, that's what I sound like. And when I first started rapping, I was rapping like extremely high pitch. So if you go on my SoundCloud, I still have all my first music I dropped on my SoundCloud, and you'll hear the difference. Like I used to rap extremely high. I was like, I don't know why I did that.
Oh yeah. So as far as your process, are you more of a writer, freestyler, or is it like a mixture of both?
um, I can freestyle a hook. When it comes to my verse, like I can try and freestyle. Like if I'm vibing and I'm into it, I could definitely freestyle. But my process right now is I like to be a little bit more creative. So I'll put the beat on and I'll have something recording myself in case I forget what I said. And I'll kind of go through the whole beat and like try and find out like what rhythm, what melody I want to be at. And then as I get through the whole beat, I'll play that back and listen to it, and I'll pick and grab what I like out of it and write it down. And then from there, I'll start my writing process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never heard of nobody doing it like that. Like
Yeah.
it's like recording themselves while they writing it down.
hmm
So if you had to pick a moment, when would you say you had the confidence to know you really could pursue music?
Um, I would say my first performance after I started rapping, just the way the crowd gravitates to me when I'm on stage. My stage presence is really good. A lot of people say I'm very entertaining when I perform. So when a lot of people started telling me that, I was like, okay, that's like the number one thing as an artist. If you could get on stage and entertain, you could definitely make it. Even if you're not trying to go mainstream, like you could go on your own tours and make money that way. So I was like, I definitely can make it in this industry. My music's catchy and my stage presence is pretty great. So
Okay. So as far as your current situation right now, are you independent?
yes, I am independent.
And would you sign to a major if it made sense?
If it made sense, no. If it makes dollars and it makes sense, I definitely would sign. I feel like I have a mainstream sound. I feel like I don't sound like nobody else. So I feel like labels would definitely be interested in me just because I have my own sound. And I'm very versatile when it comes to my sound. So I can make a lot of different things. And I feel like that's what labels like.
Okay. So as far as your recording process now, how often do you go to the studio now?
I try and go to the studio. I don't go as much as I need to. I'm more of a person that likes to sit and create at a slower pace than a lot of other people. Like I know a lot of artists will just book a session and go to the studio and not have nothing written. I am the complete opposite. I actually did that with the song you played. I went into the studio and I only had the hook written because I wanted to challenge myself and try something different. But I normally like to, sit at home. I put on my red lights, and then, I burn some sage, fire up my hookah, have a drink next to me, and I just kind of, go listen to the beat and kind of try and vibe out. And then from there, that's my process.
Okay. So take me back to the time that you dropped music to the public for the first time. Uh, how was the city embracing you around that time when, because it's different when you plan it for your close friends and stuff, and then you got people that you don't know telling you, you know, that I like your music?
Yeah. Um, my first song that I dropped was actually a remix to an artist in the Bay Area, and I felt like it had really good traction. And the song, like if I were to play the song today, like you laugh like, wow, people like this. So I was like, it's not bad, but it's like I didn't know my flow yet. So I was kind of like talking. So it was funny, but people actually liked the song. So it was funny.
Yeah, but you gotta think about the era too when you dropped that song, because you know it was a different sound back then versus now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, have you done any shows yet? Like just opening up or just any shows?
Yes, I actually have. I've actually done 44 shows this year so far. And I actually have shows booked all the way up to November. So I'm pretty booked all of August. I think I'm booked every weekend for shows like Fridays and Saturdays, some Sundays. So booked and busy. Try to get to the bag.
Absolutely. So, describe the music scene in California versus the music scene in Louisville. Like, as far as you know, the scene in general and artists collabing with each other.
Mhm. Um, I would say the music scene back home in California was a lot different. I felt like artists were more welcoming, like to incoming artists that were especially new, like especially if they were a veteran in the game and you were a new artist. A lot of the veteran artists were taking people under their wing because I remember a lot of people doing that with me back home. D-Boy, Fury Figueroa, they were a couple of artists that like reached out to me and was like, hey, we want to do a song with you. And they're like vets, like they're dope as hell. They have been doing it for a long time. And they kind of took me under my wing. It was like, let us show you this, let us show you that. So I was very appreciative of that, being new in the game and things like that. I would say out here in Louisville, um, you don't have a lot of I haven't seen a lot of the like veteran artists kind of taking the newer artists under their wing. I mean, I'm not a new artist, but to a lot of people out here I am, and I haven't really experienced a lot of the veteran artists being like, "Hey, like let me take you under your take you not take me under their ring, but like be like, "Oh, I'm trying to do this with you da da da." Um I have worked with a lot of dope artists out here, but it was after the fact that a lot of people seen me working hard as I worked, like getting the 44 shows that I've done. That's when a lot of more people wanted to start working with me. But shout out to Loafed Up. He worked with me before I even started doing shows out here. So I really appreciate him. He's dope as hell. He's definitely a vet in the city. And he's like one of the first artists that actually worked with me before me even having being known out here. So I really appreciated that.
Absolutely. So, this is just a general question right here. So, do you believe rappers are targeted? If so, why?
Targeted in what way?
As far as legal situations or just in general by the community.
Um, I would say definitely just because a lot of people speak the truth in their music. So I feel like they are targeted, they're being watched a little bit closer than the average person would be watched just because they're talking about it more in their music. They're showing as an artist, you have to connect with your fans, connect with the people that you call your supporters and things like that. So that means like posting a lot of content on your page or going live on your page. So I feel like you're kind of putting yourself at risk, like showing your day-to-day life in a way. Um, so yeah, I feel like we are targeted. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's mainly it. Just because you have to if you want people to gravitate towards you, you have to show them your personal side, like outside of being an artist. So a lot of people try and do that, and doing that kind of puts you at risk. So you have to try and say, okay, am I going to show everything, or am I going to show everybody like a certain extent of my life? And I feel like sometimes a lot of people overshow, which puts them at risk. And a lot of people like to flex. I mean, that puts you at risk too, trying to flex a lot. So,
Right.
mhm.
So, kind of list some of the artists that I know you say Loaf that you work with out here, but
Mhm.
just kind of list some artists that you work with that people might know, and list some artists that you want to work with in the future. It could be mainstream artists or underground artists.
I definitely want to work. Me and B Nicole are definitely gonna work together. I love her. She's dope as hell. She has a dope voice. Um, who else have I worked with? I worked with Queen. Me and her are finishing up a record. They're both from Louisville, and then I definitely want to get a song with Asian Doll. Like, I just like her personality. I feel like she's just like, she don't give a fuck. And I like people like that because I don't give a fuck about what nobody else thinks about me. I'm gonna do me regardless. So I definitely want to do a song with Asian Doll. If King Von was still here, I definitely would want to do a song with King Von, but he's not. So Lil Durk, I guess, will be the next best thing. um, who else? I mean, Young Blue, he's dope. I definitely love his voice. I would definitely want to do a song with him. And I would want to do a song with Missy Elliott and Timberland. Like, they're freaking the goats. Like, I would definitely want to sit down and do a song with them. Snoop Dogg, Pharrell. Yeah, some of the greats.
Okay. If you had to pick a project, what would you say is the most successful project that you have out right now?
I actually am going to be dropping my first project in some years. So I haven't dropped anything for a long time. Like, I dropped mixtapes back when my mixtapes was still dope and hot new hip hop was dope. So my tape that I'm dropping is called Cream. It's dropping August 5th. And then I'm dropping a tape with Marty called Rim in September or October. And then I'm gonna be dropping 2 more tapes after that. So I'm trying to finish out the year with at least 4 tapes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for all your followers out there, kind of name some things you like doing in your spare time when you're not doing music.
Sleep. That would come up so much. Like, I swear, if somebody hits my phone and I'm not in, because I live outside of the city, I don't live in the city. So if somebody hits my phone and I'm not in the city, 9 times out of 10, I'm asleep because I travel so much and I work so hard. So I love sleeping. I love having bonfires at my house. I love hiking, um, exercising, all the boring stuff that
Okay.
no one else is gonna want to do. I like to travel. I've been doing a lot of traveling for music, but I actually want to have, like, for my birthday this year, I want to just like travel somewhere and relax, have a massage and old people stuff.
Right. Absolutely. Grown folks.
Grown folk stuff, yeah. Like, I want to go and have a deep tissue massage. Like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to. I'll go out. I like to go out and network, but I prefer to be at home. I'm an introvert. If I could be an artist like NBA YoungBoy and be at home, I would definitely do it. But I'm not there yet. So
Yeah, he ain't never got to leave the crib.
at all, I want to be on his level. Like, man, shoot all my videos at home in a different spot.
Yeah. So, what are your short and long term goals? What do you want to accomplish?
Um, I've already accomplished my short term goal, which was like creating a name for myself in the city. Everybody doesn't know me, but I feel like a lot of the relevant people in the city that are on the scene know who I am. So that was one of my short term goals. My long term goal is to not have to work for anyone and to make money off of what I love doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you listed the projects that you had coming for the rest of 2023. Do you have anything else coming for 2023 in the beginning of 2024?
I want to drop an album in 2024. So this year was like quick little EPs, 4 songs, 6 songs. I want to finish the year out doing that with 4 tapes. And then I want to, right in the first quarter, I want to drop an album, like, so probably like 10 to 12, probably 15 songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you want people to perceive you?
A go-getter about my business. You know what I'm saying? Like when I step out, I'm very observant. Like if I go to a show, I'm watching every artist that's up there because I want to work with everybody. I mean, especially if you have a dope sound and you're hustling as much as I am, I definitely want to work with you. I do not want to work with people that are not hustling as much as I am. So you have to, as an artist, you have to pay attention to that. If people aren't grinding as much as you are, there's no benefit from that feature because if you do a song with this person, are they going to shoot the video to it? Are they going to market the song? Are they going to do the things that you're doing with your music? So you don't want to waste your time doing that um, with artists. So I'm definitely being extremely picky with the people that I do songs with because off the strength of that, I want to make sure we're on the same level and we're both trying to actually pursue our goals and work hard. So
Yeah, they've definitely got to be mutually beneficial, you know, especially in something like the music business where, you know, people is constantly elevating by the hour, you know, somebody, underground artist at 12 o'clock, they drop a music video at 5 and they could be the next big thing in the industry, you know.
exactly. So I don't want it. That's what you have to look for as an artist in this scene because a lot of people could be like, yeah, I love music. I do this, I do that. But you have no music videos out yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then if you do drop a video, no shade to nobody or anything like that. But I'm making sure mine are 4K. Like my videos are gonna be A1, like perfect. I don't do no low budget anything. Like I want everything to look presentable and show that I actually invest in myself because that's gonna make it 10 times better once a label does find who you are. They're gonna be like, oh, they already invested in themselves. They're not doing anything, they're not taking no back routes. They're doing everything the right way. So of course we'd want to bring this person on because they work hard.
Absolutely. And one thing I always tell people too, because I'm like a big uh like thinker and I'm always thinking about the future and things like that. And I always tell artists all the time, I'm like, everybody should look at the music industry like the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody say the NFL is not for long. So it's like, you know, we can count plenty of legends that was there for like 4 or 5 years and then people don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about it no more. So I always try to stress the artists like once they do get that moment and they hit that peak, and then what that peak is, you making 100 or 200,000 a show. You always should be looking for your next pivot to invest in
Mm-hmm.
something or something. Because not saying that you will fall all the way off, but everybody's not and no artist, no matter how big they were, is gonna be making 500, 200,000 a show their whole career. They just because
Mm-mm.
somebody's gonna take that spot eventually because there's someone new coming out every month. So when you downgrade, say you might drop down to 70,000 a show when you used to making 200 or 300, you got to have your lifestyle and everything in order to where if that does happen, that it don't affect you to the point where you know that you can't take care of just basic stuff and still live the same lifestyle, and you don't just drastically go into deep depression and be stressing and things like that.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. I feel like a lot of artists, if you already have everything under control on an early on stage, I say, like if you already know how to budget as an artist and you already know how to manage everything, time manage, all this things like that, I feel like you'll be fine. But I feel like a lot of people that just like go out and just turn up and don't give a fuck until the next day. You got to get that in order ASAP, because once you start seeing how much money you're making, like 100 something a show and shit like that, you're probably going to want to turn up even more. But that's not the time to turn up. It's time to, okay, sit down. Where can I invest? Where can I flip this money? How can I make more? I just made this off a show. I'm going to sit this here and I'm going to invest this there, so I could flip that and make that grow, and then put this over here. So you got to look at a lot of people, like Young Dolph was doing that. Shaq was doing that. There's a lot of people that you wouldn't think were actually investing outside. Rick Ross, like, they were smart people and they understood what they needed to do once they got that little bit of money. They're like, oh, okay, let me put this over here. This is going to keep growing. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to know when to do that.
Yeah, and I was having a conversation with like 3 artists the other day, and I was telling them, I was like, any artist that's on the come up, especially, should have a LLC, because I was like, because I've been certified to file taxes for 5 years, so I know all the tax laws and stuff, and I'll be telling people, I like, look, like 9 times out of 10, like, unless your streaming numbers get to a certain point, or you just are good at hustling, knowing how to get that feature money and get local shows and stuff like that, you coming out of pocket a lot. You probably lucky to break even, you know what I'm saying? So you got to keep track of all those expenses, so you can file business taxes to get that money back, because you actually get refunds for business taxes, if you having a certain amount of losses at the end of the year. So I was just telling artists the other day, like, you need to keep track of that stuff, get you an EIN number, get you a DUNS number and things like that. And then invest in your credit too, so you might be able to get a business loan to invest to make your platform bigger than what it is.
That's definitely something I was looking into. I've been saving like a lot of my receipts for a lot, like traveling and things like that. I've been putting them all to the side every time I travel, and I'm trying to actually work on getting my LLC together. I have an LLC for something else, but I want to get my LLC for this so that I can start getting paid, file those taxes at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So who is your Mount Rushmore? Give me your top 5, or we do 2 top 5s. Give me your top 5 most influential people to your life, and then give me your top 5 moguls. They could be artists, business people, anything like that.
Top 5 people. I would say my sister, my mom, my dad, and then my 2 homegirls, Austina and LaKayla. I would say, yeah, those are my top 5, like, close to me, personal. And then moguls, I would say, number 1, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Why?" But I respect this woman's hustle just because, like, she's been in the game for so long. Nicki Minaj, I say she's definitely number 1. I like the way I was in high school when she first came out, and I'm like, for her to have what she's still doing now and still be relevant in the scene, like, I don't care if she's going through beef or not. She's still relevant. She's still making a bag. She's still getting features with top new artists. Like, she's smart. She knows what she's doing. And then I would say second would have been Young Dolph, because I just really loved the way he handled his business as an independent artist. He was very smart and strategic with how he laid everything out. Like, he set his kids up like they're straight. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I'm very big on, is like, I have a child. I have a daughter, she's 5. So I definitely want to make sure, like, if anything ever were to happen to me, that she's straight, like, she's good. So I definitely would say Young Dolph would be second. Nipsey Hussle would be third, just because he was very intelligent. He gave a lot of game to a lot of people. He always was telling people, read this book, read this book. never trust someone's word. If somebody told you to do something, go back on it and do your research on it. So he was a great motivational speaker for me. Um, which is going to bring me to my fourth person, which is Les Brown. I really love him as a motivational speaker. He's super dope to me. I feel like his story with his wife was pretty dope, and I love like waking up in the morning and listening to his podcast and listening to what he has to say. And then fifth, I would say, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Can I put two people together, Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Oh yeah.
I think they're dope. They're dope. They're definitely a power couple. They've been together for years, and just to see the way they maneuvered in the game and still have like their freaking network continues to shoot up every year. I feel like, especially Beyonce. I don't know about Jay-Z, but Beyonce's like still shooting up. And just to show like the way they hold each other down is just dope as a power couple in the industry. Like that's definitely goals. Like who wouldn't want a relationship like that? Like you don't see a lot of people like that.
Absolutely. I was surprised by two of your picks because Nipsey and Young Dolph, I got pictures of them behind me in my crib. And that was
Really.
my favorite artists of all time. They really the only two artists I really like shed tears for when they passed away because I was Nipsey. I followed him since I was in high school before Crenshaw and all that stuff. I remember when he hopped
Mhm.
on YG song that saying bitches want shit.
Mhm.
I remember when he hopped on that song, but um I'm a real deep thinker and I think outside the box. So me and Nipsey was on the same page, especially when he was
Mhm.
talking about the Dr. Sebi stuff. Because when I heard him talk about that, I read the whole thing on Dr. Sebi, and I actually started taking Dr. Sebi's products
Mhm.
as a Nipsey. And then Young Dolph, I just liked it how he was unapologetic about being himself. Like when I started
Mhm.
following Young Dolph, they made me, made me feel comfortable about being apologetic about who I was, not,
Mhm.
not being a follower, just being a leader and just not caring what people think about you.
Mhm. He was definitely that type of person, and I really enjoyed the way he just showed a lot of independent artists. Like you definitely can make it out here as an independent artist. You just have to sit down and strategize and really think about how you can maneuver and how the game works. So him and Nipsey, like they were just great moguls when it came to that. And I feel like a lot of people sleep on those two just because like their music wasn't as popular as other people, but they were just motivational as independent artists. So
And one more thing before we wrap up. I remember you saying he was gonna drop an album. So
mhm,
I remember this Nipsey Hussle interview, and he said he was talking to 50 Cent, and 50 Cent was giving him some advice. And he was saying
mhm,
that 50 Cent, the best advice that 50 Cent gave him before he got signed to a label was he told Nipsey to never drop an album before you get signed because he said labels look at artists as basically like a marketing value tool, basically
mhm.
seeing, the projection of what you can do. So he was
Oh,
saying,
okay.
you drop an album and say you only sold 25,000. So if a label comes sign you, you won't have no leverage if you say, hey, you got to give me 1 million. Well, they'd be like, well, you already got an album out, you only did 25,000, so why would we give you 1 million? So he was like, he said every artist should just do EPs and mixtapes and singles until they get the bag because then it just leaves that empty gap there because they're like, well, they ain't never dropped an album yet, so we don't know what they fan base is um possible of doing as far as like
Mhm,
do drop an album. So like I had that interview back in my head when you were saying that you was thinking about dropping an album next year. Because I had told the artist that the other day. I was like, I mean, I heard 50 Cent said this. He said he told that to like a couple different artists, like Nipsey. He was real cool with Pop Smoke too. He told Pop Smoke the same thing. You know.
Mm-hmm. That's smart. That actually makes sense. I was telling a lot of artists, like, don't drop an album until you really have that fan base, like to drop EPs, which is why I want to drop so many EPs before the end of the year. So hopefully by next year, when I do plan to drop an album, it'll do really good. Because I actually wanted to drop an album this year, and I went to John Woo's producer corner in February, and he had some guest speakers there, and they were like, drop singles, drop EPs, singles, singles, singles. And I was like, yeah, definitely, because in today's generation, like, nobody, if you're not a well-known artist, nobody's gonna sit there and go through your whole album. I'm sorry. They're not. They're gonna pick that single that's hot to them that they really like, and they're gonna play that single over and over again. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of person I am, especially like for a lot of underground artists. If I like you as an artist and I got that one song, I'm on that one song. I might put on repeat 5 times. But but yeah, I just definitely think, yeah, that's definitely great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So closing remarks, anything else that you want to tell the people that you got going on that I probably didn't hit on, and let people know how to keep up with you on social media, YouTube channel, all that good stuff.
Well, my social media, my main social platform that I'm on is Instagram. So you can follow me, Sharde Lee _ SHARDELEE _ search me on YouTube, Sharde Lee. And as for other things we didn't touch on, I am nominated for a KUE award this year for Rookie of the Year. Only been out here in Louisville for about 6 months, and I got nominated. So I feel like that's a really good, really big accomplishment for an artist, because you don't see a lot of artists come out in the scene their first year doing shows and they're nominated for a KUE award. So go vote for me. The link is in my bio on my Instagram, and get that vote in if you like my music. So yeah, that's all I really got for everybody.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on the show. And anytime you want to come on the show, I record any day of the week. You just let me know. If you got something you want to get out to the people and stuff. And next Monday is a big day for my platform, because my biggest interview drops next Monday with Freeway Ricky Ross. I think that's gonna be my biggest interview number wise.
Okay.
Legendary Freeway Ricky Ross, Kingpin, drug dealer. If anybody don't know who that is, he was Big Meech before Big Meech. So also got the Rez Deshaun interview coming up. I interviewed him again, so that's coming in a couple months. Got NPR Richie Rich. He's a big artist in Atlanta. That interview dropped later on this month. And just be on the lookout for more dope content. Got more dope artists on the way. Trying to lock in an interview with EST Mike right now. I was talking to him earlier, but so just be on the lookout. And appreciate everybody that's been supporting the podcast. I'm gonna do a little tribute video. I'm like 9 subscribers away from hitting 5,000 on YouTube. So when I hit 5,000, I'm gonna make a video thanking everybody for hitting 5,000. And I'm in the top 30% most followed podcasts on Spotify right now. So I appreciate the support, and more dope content on the way. And this concludes the episode, and I hope you enjoy the interview.
Thank you so much.